When everything shuts down in an instant and the world slips into an unexpected darkness, the first thing you notice isn't the silence around you. It's the sudden awareness of your own body. Your heartbeat feels louder, your breathing becomes sharper, and every movement feels heavier because your body is the only tool you truly control. In a situation like the last morning blackout, fitness instantly shifts from something you do for aesthetics or routine into your primary survival mechanism. When technology fails, when convenience disappears, and when you can't rely on machines, apps, vehicles, or devices, your physical readiness becomes the foundation of everything you do next. It becomes the difference between freezing and acting, between fear and clarity, between being overwhelmed and being capable. Think about how quickly the world changes in that moment. The power goes out, your phone dies, your car doesn't start, the streetlights stay dark. Everyone around you is confused, depending on tools that no longer work. But your body, the machine you've built rep by rep and breath by breath, is still working exactly the same. Your legs still carry you. Your lungs still fuel you. Your heart still pumps with the strength you've been training for months or years. While others are stuck waiting for something external to save them, you already possess what you need to take the first step. That's what makes fitness the first survival tool. It's the one thing that doesn't shut off during a crisis. In those early moments, your physical conditioning decides how your mind responds. A trained body keeps the mind calm. When you're used to pushing through moments of discomfort in workouts, when your lungs burn on the last sprint or your muscles shake in the final stretch, you've already rehearsed how to stay composed under pressure. During a blackout, your heart rate will spike. Adrenaline will surge. But if your body knows how to handle stress because you've willingly put it under stress before, you're not thrown off by the intensity. You recognize it. You breathe through it. You stay in control. That's the silent advantage of people who train consistently. They're used to difficulty. So when real difficulty hits, they adapt faster. The moment you step outside to assess what's happening, your fitness becomes the tool you lean on. You may have to walk farther than you ever planned, climb stairs because elevators don't work, carry water or supplies, or move debris blocking your path. These tasks demand strength, mobility, and stamina. Not in a gym environment, not with perfect form or ideal conditions, but in raw, unpredictable, real-world situations. If your legs are strong, walking long distances doesn't intimidate you. If your cardio is solid, you won't be gasping for breath after a few minutes. If your core is stable, lifting or carrying isn't a threat to your safety. Fitness becomes freedom. It allows you to act instead of hesitate. It allows you to move instead of wait. As the hours pass, fatigue becomes a major factor for everyone. Stress drains energy. Fear burns calories. The body reacts to uncertainty by tightening up. But when you've built endurance through training, you're not fighting against your own physical limitations. You're operating from strength. Your muscles recover faster. Your steps stay steady. You don't collapse when the situation demands more than you expected. The blackout strips away every comfort people normally rely on, but your health gives you something to lean on that no outage can steal. The most important part is that fitness gives you confidence. Not arrogance, not bravado, but true inner confidence. The kind that tells you, I can handle this. My body is strong enough. My breath is steady enough. I can keep going. That confidence becomes your guide when the environment around you feels unpredictable. It keeps you from panicking. It helps you make decisions with a clear mind instead of reacting impulsively. A fit body doesn't just help you survive physically. It stabilizes you mentally. In a blackout, strength becomes more than strength. It becomes reassurance. Stamina becomes more than stamina. It becomes safety. Mobility becomes more than flexibility. It becomes agility, the ability to adapt to whatever the situation demands. And all of these come from the time you've invested in yourself. That's why fitness is the first survival tool. It's the foundation for every action you take, every mile you walk, every obstacle you face, and every moment you need to stay calm when the world around you feels uncertain. When everything around you breaks down and the familiar structure of your life falls away, your mind becomes the real battlefield. In the chaos of a sudden blackout, when there's no information, No updates, no reassurance. The mind naturally begins searching for something to anchor itself to. This is the moment when the habits you've built through physical training quietly reveal their true power. Over time, without even realizing it, you've taught your mind how to stay steady under pressure, how to push through discomfort, how to keep moving when everything feels heavy. Physical discipline creates mental stability because every workout is a rehearsal for moments exactly like this. Moments when the world becomes unpredictable and your reactions decide everything. Think about how discipline works on a normal day. You wake up. Maybe you don't feel like training, but you show up anyway. You push through the warm-up even if your mind resists. You keep moving when your muscles burn. You breathe through discomfort. You finish the set even when fatigue whispers that stopping would be easier. These small acts of consistency aren't just shaping your body. They're strengthening the invisible muscles of your mind. Patience, resilience, clarity, control. When you're training, your brain learns that discomfort isn't danger, that struggle isn't failure, and that your limits are more flexible than they seem. So when a blackout hits and uncertainty surrounds you, your mind doesn't collapse under the weight of fear the way an untrained mind might. Instead, it narrows into focus because it recognizes this familiar sensation of being challenged. During the blackout, you see the difference instantly. People who've never trained their discipline become overwhelmed in minutes. They panic because they can't reach anyone. They freeze because they don't know what to do without instructions. They lose control of their breathing, of their thoughts, of their reactions. Their minds have never been forced to stay calm in discomfort, so this new kind of discomfort feels impossible. Meanwhile, the person who has built years of discipline through fitness naturally begins to lead themselves. Their breathing stays steady. Their thoughts stay organized. They don't jump to catastrophic conclusions. They don't react with emotion before understanding the situation. Physical training becomes mental training in disguise, and it shows exactly when it's needed most. Your mind takes cues from how you treat your body. When you consistently show your body that you can keep going through pressure, your mind learns that it can do the same. The blackout creates a moment where pressure, uncertainty, and urgency all combine. But because you've handled moments of pushing through the last minute of cardio or the final rep of a heavy set, your brain has been conditioned to interpret pressure as something manageable. You've lived through thousands of micro struggles and workouts, so a macro struggle in the real world doesn't break you. You may feel fear, but you don't let fear control you. You may feel stress, but you don't let stress drown your actions. That calmness becomes a survival skill that no amount of equipment or planning can replace. When night falls and the world stays dark, people's anxiety usually spikes. In the absence of light, the mind fills the darkness with worst-case scenarios. But someone who trained their mind through physical discipline approaches the situation differently. Instead of spiraling into fear about what they can't control, they focus on what they can. They conserve energy. They focus on breathing. They stay aware of their surroundings. They pay attention to their thoughts. They preserve mental stamina by avoiding emotional overreactions. This ability to stay mentally steady in uncomfortable environments comes from years of repeatedly pushing yourself in fitness routines that demand patience and self-control. Physical discipline creates the ability to delay panic, to delay the urge to quit, to delay emotional reactions. In a blackout, that delay is everything. It gives you time to think, to plan, to move with intention. It helps you avoid dangerous mistakes. It keeps you from giving in to group panic. Instead of amplifying fear, you become the person who stabilizes the people around you. They see you breathing calmly, speaking clearly, making careful decisions, and their minds begin to settle too. Your discipline becomes a mental shelter for others, not just yourself. Even the simplest fitness habits, stretching when you don't want to, finishing a circuit you could easily skip, holding a position when your muscles tremble, program your brain to handle stress without collapsing. And in a disaster scenario, the most valuable human currency is stability. People with mental stability adapt quickly, find solutions, stay organized, conserve energy, evaluate risks, and endure longer than those whose minds have never been tested. So when the world goes quiet and technology fails and uncertainty takes over, the discipline you built through your physical journey doesn't disappear. It rises. It becomes the invisible structure holding you upright when everything else collapses. It becomes the calm in the chaos, the clarity in the confusion, and the strength behind every decision you make. Physical discipline becomes mental stability because, at its core, training your body has always been about training your mind. It just takes a crisis to see it clearly. When the power goes out and the world slips into a heavy, unnatural silence, one of the first things people begin to realize is how much their daily comfort has hidden the true state of their physical capability. In normal life, everything is designed to be easy. Elevators carry you up. Cars move you across long distances. Appliances do the heavy work. And the only walking you do might be between rooms or short errands. But when the blackout hits and all of those conveniences vanish, everyday movement suddenly transforms into the purest test of endurance. It's in that moment you understand that the strength and conditioning you've been building isn't just for the gym. It's for life itself. What you've practiced in controlled environments now becomes the key to how you survive in an uncontrolled one. In a crisis like this, even simple acts become challenges. Walking several miles to check on loved ones or reach safety becomes unavoidable. And the people who rarely move more than necessary feel that distance like a physical threat. Their legs burn too quickly. Their breathing becomes erratic. And their bodies start working against them rather than with them. But if you've trained, if you've built a habit of regular movement, your body responds differently. Your strides feel natural. Your breath settles into a rhythm. And your muscles know exactly how to carry you without shutting down. Cardio sessions you once brushed off as routine suddenly reveal their deeper purpose. Long walks, hikes, treadmill runs, stairs at the gym. They were all preparing you for a moment when your life might literally depend on how long you can keep going. Then there are stairs. Most people don't think twice about them because there's always an elevator nearby. But in a blackout, that elevator is nothing more than dead metal hanging in the shaft. Every floor becomes a physical test, especially when you're carrying supplies or checking on others. Someone who trains their legs, core, and balance moves up each step with control, distributing weight efficiently, keeping their breathing steady. Someone unconditioned feels the strain immediately. Knees ache, quads burn, lungs gasp for air. This difference isn't about strength for show. It's about strength for survival. Everyday movement becomes a mirror reflecting your real level of endurance, not the level you imagine you have. When you're forced to move through uneven terrain, broken pavement, debris, or dark spaces where visibility is limited, mobility becomes even more important. Flexibility, joint health, balance. These are things many people ignore because they don't seem urgent. But when you must climb through a window, crouch under something, step over obstacles, or adjust quickly in the dark, mobility becomes the difference between moving safely and getting injured. Someone who practices stretching, mobility drills, squats, lunges, and core work glides through these challenges with fewer risks. Their ankles stabilize, their hips rotate smoothly. Their core supports them with every shift in weight. These small physical details that were once just part of a warm-up suddenly operate like vital survival tools. Even lifting and carrying become major tests of functional strength. Without power, there's no automatic water pump, no refrigeration, no easy access to fresh supplies. You might have to carry water containers, bags of food, firewood, or even help move someone who's too weak or scared to walk alone. Functional strength, the kind built through compound movements, proper lifting techniques, resistance training, shows up when you need to safely lift and transport weight without injuring yourself. People who only focus on looking good feel the difference when they try to lift something practical. People who train for real-world strength feel prepared. Their grip holds firm. Their back stays stable. Their posture supports the weight. As the blackout stretches longer, fatigue becomes a factor that tests everyone. The stress of uncertainty, the calorie burn from constant movement, the lack of proper meals, all of these slowly chip away at energy levels. But when your body is conditioned to endure, it finds reserves when you need them most. Those long workouts, endurance days, and consistent routines teach your body how to operate efficiently under fatigue. While others hit a wall early, your body shifts gears, knowing how to conserve energy, regulate breathing, and maintain a steady pace through challenge after challenge. The deeper message behind all of this is simple but powerful. Movement is your most ancient, instinctive survival skill, and fitness keeps that skill alive. In everyday life, you rarely have to test it. But when the world shuts down, the truth becomes unavoidable. The ability to walk long distances, climb stairs, carry weight, balance on uneven paths, and stay physically functional under stress is not just being in shape. It's being prepared for life without the guarantee of convenience. The stronger and more conditioned you are, the more your body becomes an ally in crisis, rather than a liability you have to drag along with you. Everyday movement becomes real-world endurance, and real-world endurance becomes survival. Fitness turns into the silent force carrying you through the darkness, step by step, breath by breath, long after others have stopped. When everything shuts down and the world falls into darkness, the instinct to survive doesn't just come from fear or adrenaline. It often comes from the strength to take action, and that strength becomes most visible when you're helping someone who can't help themselves. In a blackout where people are tired, confused, dehydrated, or physically unprepared, your own fitness becomes more than a personal advantage. It becomes a responsibility, a way of lifting up the people around you, and a reminder that your health is never just about you. In moments like this, the ability to help others is directly connected to how well you've taken care of your body long before disaster hit. As you move through the silent streets and see people struggling, those who can't walk far, those who are panicking, those whose bodies aren't strong enough to adapt, you realize how valuable physical strength really is. You notice someone trying to carry supplies, but dropping them because their arms shake. You see someone older trying to take each stair, one slow step at a time. You see a parent trying to hold their child while balancing bags of essentials. And without even thinking, you step in to help. Your strength makes the task easier, smoother, safer. A weight that feels overwhelming to someone else feels manageable to you because you've trained your body to handle it. In that moment, your fitness becomes a tool of service. Even small acts become crucial. Helping someone climb stairs, supporting someone who feels faint, lifting something heavy out of the way, pushing open a stuck door, holding a flashlight while guiding someone through debris. All of these actions demand physical capability. But more than that, they demand stability. When you're strong, calm, and controlled, people feel safe around you. They trust you. They follow your lead. And that leadership isn't forced. It's something they sense from the way you move, breathe, and react. The fitness you built becomes a quiet form of leadership that doesn't need to be spoken. In emergencies, people naturally follow those who appear physically capable, not because of appearance, but because capability brings confidence. When you're steady, people steady themselves around you. When you're breathing normally, others begin to match your rhythm. When you lift something without hesitation, they believe the situation is manageable. Helping others becomes much easier when your body can support not only your own weight, but also the emotional weight of others. Strength lifts more than physical loads. It lifts spirits. There's another layer to this, and it's something most people don't think about until they're in a crisis. Helping others requires energy, real, sustained, physical energy. When you're dehydrated, when your cardio is weak, when your muscles aren't conditioned, when fatigue hits quickly, you can barely help yourself, much less another person. But someone who takes care of their health carries a different kind of endurance. You can walk farther with someone who's struggling. You can share your water because you know your body can manage. You can take more turns guiding, carrying, lifting, because you've practiced operating under stress before. Your stamina becomes the strength someone else leans on. And then there's the emotional side. When people are scared, the presence of someone who looks physically confident feels grounding. Your posture alone can calm someone down. Your breathing can influence theirs. Your voice becomes steadier because your body isn't overwhelmed. When you kneel beside someone who's panicking and speak to them calmly, that calmness comes from physical regulation, the ability to control your breath, your heart rate, your tension. People with trained bodies often regulate stress better, and this regulation becomes a gift to others. Fitness also gives you the ability to assess situations clearly. When you're not physically overwhelmed, your mind stays sharper. You can notice things others miss, pathways that are safer, resources that are available, dangers that could be avoided. You can make decisions quickly, and those decisions can protect the people relying on you. Helping others isn't only about lifting them physically. It's about guiding them mentally and emotionally through chaos. As the blackout continues and exhaustion starts taking its toll on everyone, you become one of the few who can still move with purpose. You're able to check on multiple people, gather supplies, carry food or water, and support anyone feeling weak or hurt. Your body allows you to be useful, and being useful in a crisis is one of the most powerful forms of human connection. People remember the ones who showed up for them when everything fell apart. Your fitness becomes the channel through which you care, protect, and serve. And while all of this is happening, you begin to realize something deeper. Every workout you ever did wasn't just building you. It was preparing you for the people who would one day need you. Every time you pushed past a limit, every time you strengthened your core, improved your balance, increased your stamina, you were unknowingly shaping yourself into someone who could support others when comfort disappeared. Helping others becomes more than an act of kindness. It becomes a natural extension of who you are because your body can handle it. And in the darkness of a blackout, in the vulnerability of uncertainty, that strength becomes a beacon. Fitness transforms into compassion in motion, proof that taking care of yourself gives you the capacity to take care of others. In every crisis, there's a moment when you realize that preparedness wasn't something you could improvise in the chaos. It was something you were either building all along or something you wished you had started earlier. When the blackout arrives without warning and everything you depend on shuts down instantly, you don't get extra time to develop strength, sharpen your discipline, or build the endurance you suddenly need. The truth becomes painfully clear. Your real survival kit has always been your body and your mind, and the work you put into them before anything happened is what carries you through. Preparedness isn't about stockpiling expensive gear or learning 1,000 survival tricks in the moment. It's about cultivating daily habits that quietly transform you into someone who can handle adversity without breaking. You begin to see that every morning you trained, every clean meal you ate, every time you pushed through mental resistance was a form of investing in your future self, even if you didn't know what you were preparing for. The blackout simply exposes what's already inside you. Once the lights go out and the world tilts into uncertainty, those who relied on convenience start to panic, while those who relied on discipline adapt more quickly. Fitness builds more than a strong body. It shapes the internal foundation that crisis demands. When you've spent months or years pushing yourself physically, you've also built decision-making under pressure, the ability to stay calm while uncomfortable, and the resilience to keep going even when everything feels heavy. These qualities suddenly become essential. You realize that preparedness wasn't about predicting the disaster. It was about being capable enough to survive whatever shape it arrived in. The person who strengthened their lungs now has the stamina to walk miles if needed. The person who trained their legs can climb, lift, and move without fear. The person who worked on their breath control doesn't crumble at the first sign of stress. Every rep, every sweat-soaked session, every uncomfortable moment pays you back when comfort disappears. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you built yourself before the crisis. You don't feel invincible, but you do feel capable. And that capability becomes a kind of fuel that keeps you steady when others look lost. You stop waiting for someone to save you because you recognize that preparation has already given you the power to save yourself. Even small habits, stretching regularly, drinking enough water, building consistent sleep, show their importance when the world stops functioning normally. If you've been taking care of your body consistently, it responds to stress better, recovers faster, and maintains clarity even when everything around you becomes unpredictable. Your preparedness becomes a living, breathing part of you, not a checklist or a bag tucked into a closet. And what surprises you most is how simple the foundation really was. Showing up consistently, training when you didn't feel like it, choosing foods that fueled you instead of drained you, practicing discipline when no one was watching. You weren't preparing for a blackout specifically. You were preparing for life itself, and the blackout is just the moment that makes the value of that preparation undeniable. You start to understand that survival is less about reacting to disaster and more about building yourself so solidly that disaster has less power over you. You realize that the people who struggle the most are often the ones who waited until the crisis to begin caring about their health, their strength, and their resilience. Meanwhile, the groundwork you laid on ordinary days becomes extraordinary protection when circumstances turn extreme. As you move through the darkness, you find that your strongest asset isn't physical strength alone, but the mindset that comes from intentional growth. Preparedness gives you clarity in confusion, steadiness in fear, and endurance in exhaustion. It keeps your body moving when your mind wants to quit, and your mind sharp when your body is tired. All of it was built long before the blackout, in the quiet hours where you chose progress over excuses. In that sense, preparedness is a commitment to your future self, a silent promise that you won't let them face disaster unready. And when the world goes dark, that promise becomes the reason you keep moving forward with confidence instead of fear.